things out in Skyscraper for the final game of this group.
Yang going to start out our ban phase here in Japan. What does Black Dragons want to take away from the offense? Well, our answer is surely right around the corner. It's going to be Thatcher. We don't actually get that many Thatcher bans here anymore, so let's check his stats out, shall we? Thatcher actually has only been banned 5 times with that one. He's tied with Capital, of all people, for bans. That is something you would never hear just a year ago. Kaid will be the follow-up ban, the first defensive ban. Obviously, Black Dragons defensive ban as well. So making sure that's not on the field with Thatcher gone, even though impact EMPs do exist, well, their distance isn't as solid as the radius of those EMPs. The Bandit also going to be banned out, so we are really just going off the rails here, huh?
The Bandit I agreed with when we had it get banned out earlier on Clubhouse, but for Skyscraper, what do you think about that one?
I think it's definitely an interesting choice, especially with the Kaid working its way in, so you've basically mitigated the majority of things that are going to be holding walls up. This does mean we have to see an utter crapload of Mute play. You're going to be seeing Mute probably every single defensive side, because what else are you going to do? I mean, there's really no other way to stop them from ripping these walls to shred and getting access to exactly what they want early on in the round. So we're going to need Solid Tom to step up, get these Mute Jammers down, and try and hold on some of these panels.
All right, well, let's take a look as it is going to be the expected initial sight from MNM as they go over towards Karaoke NT to start off this map here, working themselves into that usual expected sight choice. Not going to see any dramatic shifts over on the Black Dragons operator selection, at least not to start this. Nade bringing the Capital to hopefully chuck that utility a little bit deeper into the site and flush out those deeply held anchors. Aside from that, Potoxi is going to move over from the Nook. Not really going to have room to work a Nook flank on your own inside of this map, so the Flores comes out for Potoxi instead. Be able to hopefully knock out a little bit more of that utility that could stand in the way. Things like deployable shields, Banshees and whatnot, if they are in the picture. Not going to see the Banshees, of course. We don't really have that in the defensive operator lineup, but just to showcase an example, there are plenty more of those explosive drones to be able to knock out over the course of this round.
Indeed. Got a lot of Rotero drones when it comes to Flores, and Potoxi will more than likely be hitting his mark with those. And even if he doesn't, it still gives you a decent amount of insight, intel to be able to abuse if you can so choose. You know, some of those moments not able to capitalize on things like others. So gonna get these windows open now for Black Dragons as they start things off for our offensive side. Potoxi's gonna be working in for the Black side stairs balcony. Also, Black Dragons just majority working on this balcony at the current moment. Actually, Monty's going to be holding up the door Rotero drones in here to make sure that Flores stays alive. Also, obviously, the window being held by the Lion outdoors. It's going to be Ion on that one. We do have a couple of bodies down low here for Black Dragons as they'll begin working up the stairwell. MNM haven't gotten in front of them yet. No obstacle from the defense.
Seems like more than anything, they just want to completely prevent retakes to the inside of Karaoke. And so far, this is working to allow Busetto to the inside of it, but will it allow them to get a plant, or does it fire back against them now? So far, it works, especially with the micro smokes now being deployed to give Busetto a safe corner, supposedly at least to go for this plant. Will anyone on MNM challenge it? They're certainly attempting to do so as they move forward, and they successfully drop the case to the ground. Unfortunately, Neo gets a little bit aggressive there, ends up chucking a Pokeball at Nello and takes him down accidentally to even the numbers back out. But Solotov pushes it right back into MNM's favor with the pickup against Potoxi. That'll also eliminate, of course, now that shield player, preventing a replant from going back down. Nade, though, re-equalizes things, still keeping the Black Dragons in this with the next pickup. Solotov, though, the rock of consistency with regards to trades, throws it right back into the favor for MNN.
Well, it's down to the gunfights now. The case in a terrible location. I highly doubt Black Dragons ever get to grace its presence ever again. More than likely going to have to remove MNM from the lobby before they get to that one. The pre-fire out, they'll take down Solotov. It's all left up to Tyrant. Can he clutch out in the 1 versus 2? Nade, he's been so solid in this game already in round 1, 3-0. The warm up working out well for him. Nade will take him down, and that's going to be it. As Black Dragons able to counter things out. It got a little risky there with the plant going down inside of Karaoke, but immediately thwarted by MNM Gaming. Quickly righting their wrongs, though, as Black Dragons able to claim round 1.
Basically winning it out more than anything, just kind of on a straight gunfight when everything is said and done there. Black Dragons bringing things down to a 2v2 after things get a bit chaotic, attempting to plan it with the very open floor plan, or open floor level wall plan, I guess you would call that there for
something along those lines.
Yeah, the guys on Black Dragons.
Something like that. I mean, yeah, the karaoke plan, it was definitely a weird one. I like the strategy overall with the Capital bolts, but they didn't really have a way to shut down the main hallway. There's nobody really watching it. So, I mean, MNM just kind of got to do whatever they want there.
Not the best overwatch for the planter either. Like, that's obviously what all those holes at the bottom of the wall were supposed to be for, so they could just trace through the soft destruction and be able to take those players down. But with all those smokes and everything chucked out, certainly would have probably been beneficial to have an actual player sitting on the inside of that, providing more direct relief if it had been necessary. Either way, it's something that Black Dragons are more than aware of and are going to be adjusting the next time that they are able to go for the attack on that site, which is unfortunately not going to be in this round, as we'll see the MNM roster switch just over to the other side of the map. Still playing upstairs, of course, just now on the inside of the office. Black Dragons gonna keep some similarities, of course, such as the Capital still being in play from Patoxi. We've got a few other change-ups. Basetto bringing the Gar hook into fold here, so we'll see what that is going to bring to the fold.
What can they get done with it? Well, it's going to be Solitov, as you said earlier, one of the most consistent players when it comes to MNM. He's going to body Black Dragons early. The Zofia gone, those concussions worth their weight in gold when it comes down to it. Some of our only proximity-based utility on the offense, and they are beautiful when you're able to use them to clear out the building and make sure some of the areas that might be harder to reach are cleared out. So, be suffering from success from their early round here. Now, for MNM, with a chance inside of this first minute, it's going to be Ion to step in the building first for Black Dragons after his friend had faltered. They obviously do still have the Selma charges on nades, so nothing really to worry about in that department. It's just they've lost a couple teeth when it comes to this overall unit.
We're going to continue to see the Black Dragon look for opening opportunities to be able to shift themselves through the majority of the first floor bedroom setup and then work upstairs from there. Only going to be one piece of this execute, more than likely, as well as you'll expect a few other members of Black Dragons to begin harassing from the second floor rappel. You can already see Nade getting in position upstairs for them, trying to take out the walls with Selma's. Not really a point in his teammates joining up with him until they have those walls open, so that's why you're seeing most of the focus from BD be played out over on the first floor at this point in the round. MNM, of course, not really needing to respond to that first floor pressure. That's not a huge concern to them. If they get randomly naded from below, then obviously they'll start to worry about that a bit more, but they do have at least one player committing to Overwatch by the staircases, so they know that that's cut off in the event of a direct push from BD.
Well, a lot of time wasted since Paris went down and trying to work verticality and get these walls open. They've been successful on both, but haven't been able to find the kill they've been so sorely awaiting. Stuns out, Gara Hook ready, looking to fly through the hatch, and that will at least work for a moment until Yozis stands up and takes him down. That Gara Hook extremely loud, and well, the MNM member, he has ears, so easy kill for him. Ion's going to get one, but immediately goes down to an explosive, I do believe. Usis will pick up that one. Solitov with some serious damage, but Nade for the double. A 2 versus 2 now, and Patoxi going to try and shift up and assist his friend here. It's very low on HP. No case control at the current moment either.
The play from Nade right there perfectly showcases why MNM are taking such a passive stance on their defensive setups as well. The second one of them tries to peek out in the open and get even a tad aggressive. Immediately, Black Dragon slays out 2 players. So this explains why you've had such a quiet round aside from the action that Black Dragons have forced out here. MNM do not want to challenge BD unless absolutely necessary, because they know they need that intel in order to make things work, and they're not great at gathering it naturally on their own and pushing into these setups off of the 2 rounds that we played so far. Forcing it out is another thing, but patience works out beautifully here for MNM as they hold on to their setup and close down on the second round to tie us up at 1-1.
Love the pacing there from them. You marked on it at the tail end of that round there. MNM just not really able to overplay their hand when they want to. That aggression usually gets them punished, as Black Dragons is really good at holding these angles and shutting them down when they go for it. So a good respect given over to Black Dragons, and one that I think that they absolutely deserve. MNM, they're going to head back over to T and Karaoke to try and find some semblance of success here. The last time around, they started off decently well with getting the case down inside of Karaoke after that very awkward Monty plant, but that's not all that really mattered in that round. Black Dragon stepped up in a very considerable way when it came to that, getting some big kills, especially for Nade. He had 3 in just the first round alone, so we'll see if he can continue getting away with this. Dragons actually can go for, I believe, no hard breach on this. Well, they actually can on Nade there, I do believe, with the Capitao. I think Monty also has access to it nowadays as well. So we'll see what they want to try and use to open up these walls. Actually, zero hard breach. None ya business here for Black Dragons. There's going to be Claymores for the Capitao and secondary EMPs for Bisetso. But the good news is that they have that Monty, so they can more than likely walk into the building through a traditional means rather than through walls.
Black Dragons continue to look for their opening gambit yet again, but remember, much like the previous round, MNM probably going to keep a little bit more of their composure alive due to the success they found with that type of playstyle in the previous round. The site, of course, may force something a little bit different out of them when it comes to the mid-round play. At a minimum, early round, they've got that choice of whether they want to get right up in the face. We're kind of already passing that point now and entering the mid-round here as holding much more consistently towards the inside of the buildings. We're back, of course, over here towards T-Room now, giving Black Dragons that direct access point from the balcony that they'll more than likely look to use again here.
Located by attackers.
Rotero drone's back in, and hello? Okay, I was like a little awkward there for a second. I don't think that
he was really stressed between the barbed wire or the wall. He was trying to pick which one, I think.
Exactly. He was like, oh, there's no one here. There's no barbed wire. And then he turned around and ran it back to the door. And I guess he thought about blowing up the door here to let Bisetso in. But either way, he's just going to make a rotation instead, which I wholeheartedly agree with. I think it's very smart if they're trying to go for a similar play to what they did the last time. But you can see MNM Gaming, they've planned for this. They've got Nello on the Azami, and it's working out well. He's able to constantly close up this wall and make it nigh impossible for the Monty to move forward.
It's prime for Perez. Unfortunately, not going to land anywhere near either of the members from MNM, so just a wasted utility at the end of the day, but it may open up a top-down angle that could be useful later on in the actual round. Tyrant also patiently waiting for Potoxi to try and get aggressive towards this window. It's a war of attrition right now to see who decides to strike first, but the Black Dragons have made their initial push, and with the Montaigne, of course, they can have Bisetto continuously peek this hallway to try and gather more intel. As long as there's not a flank being lined up from that back black staircase, then they don't have to worry too much about the Montaigne's safety.
A minute left here. Black Dragon's stagnation has been eating at them thus far. Gonna be the grenade out here for Perez. Not gonna find too much with that though. MNM, they have to try and prevent this plant again. This time no smokes though, John. They're willing to try and cover their bases. Nitro cell out, it won't deal anything. MNM, they're gonna have to try and go about this through, well, unadulterated aggression, and so far it's worked extremely well. They've bodied every Black Dragons member that they can, and well, that's more than likely gonna be the round right there. I highly doubt Monty can get it done on such low HP, and in fact, Bisetso is just gonna lay there and get locked out, and then Usus is gonna shoot him and kill him. MNM Gaming getting it done actually the hard way, honestly. I mean, Monty getting in there finally and getting that plant down, but I mean, they still have to take all of those gunfights on every separate angle and get a big dub there, and they find that success. Not an easy task, especially after what we'd seen previously from Black Dragons. They are no slouch when they can get a hold of those angles.
Pulled off the full-on retake this time as well, did not kind of lose it halfway and have to battle out in a 2v2 fashion against Black Dragons, which is how they eventually lost control of the first round. MNM snapped the jaws shut. And unfortunately, again, the problem for Black Dragons is the support structure surrounding that plant from the Montaigne. There's nothing wrong with the actual plant itself, but the players that are meant to keep it alive, it seems like they have to give so many bodies away just to allow that plant to go down in the first place, beginning to question if that strategy is worth it. Possibility that we may see that play into one final time, but we'll follow that up on the 6th round if MNM decide to go back to T and Karaoke to play it out.
Yeah, I think the big thing is about this site is that you kind of have a couple of options, right? You can try and go for the black stairs push or that balcony push. You can try and clear from the east to the west. You can try and go for like a geisha-centric take. Honestly, only really one out of or two out of the three, I would say, are decently good. I mean, there's just a lot of different issues with that site overall that you can really run into, and that's what Black Dragons are suffering from right now. MNM are doing a really good job of keeping track of their positioning when it comes to their setup for that site, and they're constantly punishing them for it. So don't think we'll see Black Dragons really be able to do much against that in the future, but we'll have to find out later on. As you said, MNM with that dub, not going to be seeing it for at least a couple more rounds here. Nello, speaking of which, in rounds, bringing Capcan for this one. EE1Ds, or rather EDDs, will be around everywhere, although Lion will not be in, so don't be worried about that. No EE1Ds here, just logic bombs from Paris.
We're seeing this nice little Twitch turn play making very quick work of the EDDs, however, so more than likely not going to find a whole lot of effectiveness. So that's not a very heavily guarded target often.
Very nice. Like
Zeto as well, just leaping right in here with the case, picking up the kill along the way. Ion able to successfully defend things out, and Perez preventing some of the rotates from back upstairs as well. It's an unstable plant, but Black Dragons do have it in their favor at a +1 player advantage as well. Tyrant pushed up against the corner, and he's still half peeked out behind the wall. There's a Potoxi, takes him down, uses, works his way back in, still keeping the hopes alive for MNM, but in fact, he's the only hope running now for the squad. Needs to win out the 1v2, tries to go for the repeat, but that's all too easy to read for Perez and the rest of BD. They lock in a response round, and we are tied again now at 2-2.
Now that's the kind of rush plant that I'm looking for. Very well done from Black Dragons. Loved how they used the logic bomb as well to try and counteract some cameras. I think that was in time. It was kind of hard to tell with the calamity that we had in round 4. But if they got it there, well, then obviously that's just great coordination. But either way, a fantastic plant as the Buck gets in, gets the kill, and gets the case down. We're tied all up here on Skyscraper. And please do remember that this all has to deal with CAG losing their game. If they win their game, then our Japanese representatives will be headed to the main stage. And MNM Gaming and Black Dragons, well, this Skyscraper doesn't matter all too much.
Yeah, and even worse than that, well, this teeter-tottering of rounds may be great for the viewing experience at home. It is not great for either of these teams' chances to actually make it through here. If you remember what we said in the pregame, it needs to be a regulation victory for either one of these teams to have a chance to be able to make it through into the playoffs. If they continue to go back and forth in the sense of weaning its way over into overtime, that as well translates to an immediate elimination of both of these teams from a potential playoff berth, and that will also mean that CAG goes through by default even if they lose their other game.
Indeed. This time around, the Buck's going to head on over to Ion. Bassetto's back on the Monty, so he won't have as much frag power, but he will have a lot of pressure. MNM, I'm going to head up towards the offices. See if they can get one over on Black Dragons here again. Pretty default operator lineup when it comes down to it. Something you'd pretty much expect. I really like the Warden coming in here, especially from Solitov. Always a solid pick when it comes to sites that have a lot of utility chucked at them. And there's quite a few stuns on Black Dragons as well. So definitely a solid consideration here from MNM Gaming. But past that, a handful of seconds that have eclipsed so far here in round 5. Black Dragons right outside the windows of the site, but it's going to take a whole heck of a lot more in order to crack this egg. MNM, they've got quite a few bodies strung along this space, trying to hold on to the majority of it, especially when it comes to the house stairs. Ion and the rest of the gang, though, they're going to try and work this bottom floor. I really like the adaptation here with the Nomad working in. They haven't used this the whole time, so nice pickup here to be able to try and slow down MNM on their rotations. This is something that could be quite lethal.
Tyrant starting to flirt with a push down the staircase. We do have a few members of Black Dragons waiting in the area, so this will be a bit of a risky play from Tyrant, but MNM seemingly starting to feel a little bit more confident with their positioning on the inside of this half, needing to potentially subvert the expectations, look for additional ways for them to get ahead inside of the early round to prevent this teeter-totter from coming true, find a way for them to steal back another round and limit the capability from Black Dragons on the execute, where they've been finding a lot of their steam, like we've just found here. Perez able to work himself in, knocking out Tyrant.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
It's a chain of smokes that's actually going to get Bassetto. That drops the case, beautifully noticed and followed through by Nello there to be able to shut down the Montaigne yet again, but once again, Nade as well as an additional member of Black Dragons able to frag back out against MNM, leaving only Nello in the defensive setup, but he won't last that long. Nade gets that final kill, and despite the very nice smoke play, it's all or nothing for the defense, and unfortunately nothing comes out. Black Dragons shut it down with a walk-in.
Yeah, Bassetto, you better go play the lottery or just count your lucky stars, because your team really bailed you out on that one. That was a critical blunder if I have ever seen it. Really mistimed the smoke there, John. He just walks on through, takes all that damage, and wouldn't you know it, Smoke still has 2 more of those things because he just chucked one at you. So, Definitely a miscalculation there from Black Dragons, but definitely not when it came to the frags, lining those up perfectly. MNM caught off guard, and Black Dragons able to power ahead yet again here, 3-2.
Black Dragon's gonna make another attempt over here towards the T and Karaoke room. Curious to see if we see that same shift over to the same composition with the Montaigne and everything else. I talked about it before. They've been trying this smoke plant for quite some time, and while the plant hasn't had too much of an issue getting down to the ground, all the players that need to be out in the open to support it are having a really tough time staying in the actual fight. So it does look like we are going to shift this setup a little bit. It's moving away from the Montaigne now, as we are instead going to see a Flores and an Osa brought to the fold here. Osa probably a much better selection for this, as you'll be able to just as confidently walk in. You won't be able to get as much free intel with the free peaks, obviously, that the Monty will be able to get into areas like the T room and, of course, the connecting room behind it via soft wall, but you can still set yourself up much more confidently for the post-plant situation and give that planter an actual capability to clutch, because obviously they'll have a real gun sitting on the Osa operator.
Yeah, I honestly think that, you know, if we're talking about Bussetto's evolution, right, if he had an evolution line like he was a Pokemon, I think that Osa would be his max evolution, right? Great Monty player, seems to really understand the shield play of Siege, but I think Osa is just better for him. Give him a little bit more lethality, make it to where he can take some of those gunfights and try and find those kills. Really, I've only seen him blunder with just that last round, and we've been watching him play Monty for a couple of days here. So, gonna be able to get rid of a couple of these windows and start applying pressure to the defensive setup of MNM, but do they know that it's headed back towards them as well? Solitov, he's been quite aggressive with these SMG-11s on defense, but he's been making it work as well. Not as much recently, but the first couple of rounds dealing some considerable damage with that weapon.
See here as well, this little EMP burst comes out, the one and only one that they will have access to. Setting over here on that bulletproof camera. But the bulletproof camera, of course, defended quite nicely with that extra laser gate sitting in front of it. Pretty much nigh impossible for the attackers to be able to knock that down unless they want to commit a huge amount of utility to doing so. Not more than likely to be a constant info drip for the defenders. They got to worry about attackers coming in now on their flank, though, as Perez finds a very nice entry into the back end of Geisha, eliminating that from the defenders' playbook here, and really limiting their options overall to actually stop the plant from going down. Beautiful timing shot from Perez right there. Here's the shots going in through the wall, takes it down. Neo, in the meanwhile, making a big play here to finally put an end to Perez's issues over on the inside of Geisha. Bussetto, though, still in position, ready to put the plant down on the ground. They're going to risk it here in the 4v3.
Well, if you want the biscuits, you gotta risk it. That's how it is. Air jabs down, Neo down as well, but not for the count. That's gonna be Patoxy at 3 versus 3 going into the post plant, and this is exactly why I like the Osa more. Bussetto doesn't just have to sit in a corner and watch all of his teammates do something, although he will die to use this. He still had an opportunity there. Ion in behind. He really wishes he could get these shots back, but for some reason, Tyrant's gonna give it to him anyways. He walks out with just the magazine out of his gun. There's not a single bullet in that MPX when he walks at him, and he just dies straight up. Black Dragons claim the round, although MNM were starting pretty hot.
Even worse, that deployable shield that ended up being there at the end of the round. There was a shot that went out right against it. I'm pretty sure that would have started to deal damage to the last player live on BD anyway. Kind of gave him the cover. He needed to clutch it out instead of working it the other way around. Unfortunate for the players on MNM. But either way, closes down the half and flips sides now with Black Dragons in control of the situation. Time to see if they can follow this one through, as once again, another quick reminder, they do need regulation victory here to stay in play.
Well, so far, Skyscraper has been a pretty fun affair in between these two. I think that they both had some pretty solid ideas about how to offend and defend this Skyscraper site. And honestly, I've been really liking what we've been seeing out of MNM here, especially for Solitov, at least the earlier rounds. Not really able to put it together for these last couple, but again, some solid considerations, and one that we expect to see throughout time when it comes to MNM. You can say the same for people like Usus as well on the ace right now as they switch on over to the offensive side. Currently down 2 rounds up against Black Dragons, who were able to put together a lot of these offenses. They weren't clean, but they were definitely some wins, weren't they?
Black Dragons just needing 3 of their defenses now. 1 full rotation cycle to be able to lock in this game for themselves, and then they just have to watch the other stream and pray that things have been going well for the Sonics with the issues that, of course, they have had now. Locking in the first place group position earlier today. Gio did decide to step down from this second game, as unfortunately he's not feeling that great, so he's going to go take a rest, get himself ready for the playoff stage, which I think is a very wise decision at the end of the day. Goddess, we believe, is actually filling in for him in the meanwhile for their game against CIG over on the other stream. If CIG loses that game inside of regulation, then we will have the chance for both of these teams to move forward. If that does not end up coming true, though, CIG closes out any way, shape, or form, that both of these teams are immediately knocked out of the playoffs.
Well, Tyrant, I believe.
Well, apparently, sorry, we're going to correct ourselves.
What's up?
Apparently, Gio is playing in that matchup.
Did he go back on it?
Yeah, apparently Gio is actually playing in that game.
Oh, good on him.
I'd heard like a bunch of times that he was going to be swapped out, but I guess that did not end.
Yeah, he tweeted it. Everybody was talking about it. It's fine, though. I'm happy he's playing. Hopefully that means he's feeling better, and also that means that Goddess gets to kind of chill. So hopefully she's just enjoying watching the game as well. But back into this one here. But that actually does play a little bit into it, so hopefully we can get a score update here soon. But either way.
And even better, the playoff contenders for both these teams are actually live right now. A little bit of a spoiler alert. Sonics are currently leading that game.
What's the score?
4-2.
What's the map?
I didn't get that intel.
Well, what are
it's on a drip feed.
What are you worth?
It's on a drip feed from my watch right now. You gotta give him a few seconds. I think I just got it.
All right, we got a fire.
It's on Club. It's on Club.
It's on Clubhouse. Oh, so that's gonna be the 9th play of Clubhouse here at this event. But well, luckily enough for us, literally nothing has happened in this round at all. Everyone's on balconies looking to see if they can potentially get something open, and I mean literally anything open. This window's not even open, and Solotov's staring at it constantly, he's being like, "Do I want this? Do I not want this?" I don't know if they know what they want. We're about to find out if they do. Somebody's got to make a decision here, and apparently it's Nate as he guns down Usis.
And with a good start for Black Dragons, certainly making MNM second guess themselves. Been a large part of the problem in this game so far from MNM, just not being fully secure in their own strategy, playing things very, very passively, leaving room open for Black Dragons to dictate their own playstyle on the defense, which is not necessarily something you want to allow happen as the attackers on this map specifically. You can tell why as well. A lot of rooms for these defenders to dip in and out of, eventually disappear from the sight lines and tracking of MNM overall. See the EXO go down to be able to try and open things up on the inside of Geisha, but no, it's been blocked out by a mute chamber. Nade comes in from the bottom, though. Makes quick work of not only that, but one of the members of BD as well. Nade now dead to rights. Even back up, but only for a split second, apparently, as a big push comes in from Perez and knocks out Solotov.
Very well done from Black Dragons, accounting for a lot inside of their strategy. Able to retake Geisha, deal some considerable damage. That's going to be the case down as Nello also follows suit. Neo trying to pick up the pieces here, but it'll actually be Tyrant with a holographic L85. We haven't seen that one in a while, as it does have access to the 1.5, but Tyrant feeling a little bit different about this gun. Frag grenade out. Didn't get it cooked all the way. Obviously that swing did throw a wrench into his plans. Tyrant real close on this one, but unfortunate for him. He's going to go right into the waiting arms of Patoxy, and you're going to count him for 2. Black Dragons taking it to MNM at the current moment.
Black Dragons very happy about that one. Now they've got a very comfy cushion against their opponents here as well. 3 rounds in the lead and just 2 to go to close out the matchup. Now I think they're going to play around with their playstyle a little bit here, take a few risks, try to get an even bigger advantage inside of the early round, whereas MNM might have to go even more passive, start to second guess themselves even more, double check things, which is really not going to be the formula for coming back into this one at this point. Could lead to a quick defeat for them, and as well their outright elimination from play here at Jönköping.
0 timeouts either. MNM doesn't call anything at all. They just feel like rolling through with it, so we'll see how this works out. All these players have been very solid over the years for Marshmallows and Molotovs. We've casted quite a few of them. The one that I have the most love for out of these guys has definitely got to be Nello. That's when Flynn and I actually casted in Tokonami, Japan back in 2019, and Flynn had probably one of his best shoutcasts of all time. Watching Nello absolutely decimate, I believe, Wildcard Gaming on Coastline. So definitely one of my favorite memories when looking back through Rainbow Six Siege. But doesn't seem like it's going to account for all that much here. MNM Gaming have been stunted when it comes to this game, at least thus far. They have an opportunity to try and stave off Black Dragons, keeping them from their penultimate round as they've just hit 5. MNM's gonna try and change some things up. Neo's going to be on the doke now, but so is Black Dragons. They've got Nade looking for an aggressive peek here. We've seen a couple of squads go for this one here, as it's pretty easy to try and get some kills on the players, repelling line up this side. The string or cable, whatever you want to call it, that attaches to the actual building is basically a freebie onto where their head is going to come up. Isn't that weird, John?
Indeed it is. Nade with a solid shot to start things out. It's against the Nook too, so pretty much slams any potential sneaky flank dead to rights before it even gets started there. Nicely caught once again by the Black Dragons here, putting that aggressive foot forward and denying any and all early round playmaking capability, from the MNM roster as they continue to try and look for opportunities to battle their own way back into this situation. A little bit of a split attack now starting to work its way forward as they have taken that control on the inside. T-Room here are going to try to carry that forward over towards the roofing hall as well, but past that, him and some other slower things mess them up in the process of doing so. Like these Kiba barricades standing in the way of Tyrant right now. He's actually just going to use one of the Terror drones to try and knock those out of the way, and overall MNM a little bit discombobulated here as they try to group themselves up one final time, but Perez causing all of this delay with just his singular position on the inside of the shrine right now. Nade assisting with this from a distance. Also, he picks up another slam dunk kill, and there's the big one from Perez. Takes away the control on the inside of T-Room. More than likely makes the entry from the other players nigh impossible now, and in fact brings it all down to one. All on Nello, who's going to reset the map control, go back in from balcony side, and even then doesn't suspect the play from down the hall. It's a flawless run from BD there on that round. Only one to go to shut down this map now.
Zero control, zero flair for Marshmallows and Molotovs. Nothing doing, nothing going in the current moment. Black Dragons able to outplay them in every sense of the term from the very jump of that round. I love the extra aggressive assault towards the outward areas of the building, making it really difficult for MNM to try and pick up any portion of map control. And now we sit here 6-2 in favor of Black Dragons, and we're not going to get a timeout call. MNM, they just want to roll with the punches, and well, this one could be the death blow.
It's been largely sort of default and a lot of sit and wait play style from MNM, hoping to try and catch something off of their drone intel that they can then act upon, or of course an active play from BD that they can punish, but it just has not been happening. BD has looked consistent as ever since we switched over to the second half. This defensive side really giving them that boost forward due to how tough it has been. And we mentioned this in the pregame as well, for the attackers to properly clear out even the first or second room as they enter themselves into the actual building here on Skyscraper. So finally going to be moving over towards Barbecue, or Black Dragons have set up a very interesting line above that. You were seeing it just a second ago there. So we'll see how they're able to play to the inside of that if we see any action working its way over into that deeper part of the Barbecue room itself. MNM will have to look to try and secure their plant. MNM storming their way forward, but they're going to start their take from the other side of the building by the looks of things. Already seen the first phone call go out, so they want to try and establish map control a lot more quickly this time. And this is certainly a proper adjustment. It's just showing up a little bit late in the game here.
Before this match, MNM and specifically Solotov and Uzus were pretty far ahead of Black Dragons, at least considering their scoreboards. But Nade, he has shown up and he has dealt so much damage with his squad. Patoxy adding to this now 8-4 to match Perez's 8-5. Nade 13-4 at the current moment. They have been lights out up against Marshmallows and Molotov. Solotov will go down. Nello dead to the world as well. And it looks like this may be all she wrote. Tyrant now moving in, loving these hollow sites for himself, but it doesn't seem like it's been able to accomplish all that much. 5-8 for him on the game currently. MNM, they're trying to centralize, but oh my, Perez gets it done again up against Uzus. And it looks like MNM not really having too much available to them. It's a triple kill now for Paris. Looks like Tyrant will at least be able to stave off the flawless round and impact out, but it looks like it might just be a rotation from our player. He's ready for it, but Nade also collapsing from the rear. A 7-2 victory here on Skyscraper for our 5th play at LAN.
Unfortunate game for MNM as they seemingly just flatline here on the attacking side, but that's great news for the Latin American community and for for the Black Dragons community specifically as they crush this final game for themselves. That does mean they are still in it. Of course, pending the results of the game going on the other streams. CAG does need to end up in a losing position for them to move through, but that is the way things were going the last time we checked in on it. We'll be doing so once again, of course, in a few minutes here, but now they must sit and wait for those results to roll in to see if they'll still be moving on with the rest of us to Jönköping tomorrow morning.
And we really are a far cry from the Na'Vi days of EU dominance, huh? Unfortunate for Nello there as Marshmallows and Molotovs. I was excited to see him again here at this event, see what they were capable of, but could not hold a candle to the light of Black Dragons, who, as you just said, still have an opportunity to go to our main stage. So congratulations to our Brazilian squad on their big win.
An overall very nice rebound given the game we saw Black Dragons play earlier on today. A little bit of a misnomer when they went up against the Sonics, just not really able to bring the strategies necessary to the table, and for the most part got shut down. That's huge credit, of course, to the strength that we saw the Sonics bringing to that game, but to come back with such a strong result versus MNM as well, knowing that there was so much pressure on the line, it's a huge plus to the Black Dragons roster. They're able to pull that together, and we'll have to see just how far they can go in the playoffs, of course, if that result between CAG and the Sonics ends up coming true.
Truly a great game for Black Dragons here, and probably their best game that they've had at this event so far. It's been extremely hard fought, but once again, congratulations to our